Hello. Hello, is anyone here? Hello. Hi, Stephen. I think you're the first one here. Is there anyone else here? Please say hi. Hello. Hi, Shaili. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Okay, so we finally have people coming in. That's exciting. I was actually beginning to wonder whether anyone would ever show. But it's good to see. Hi, Neetu. How are you? Hello, Gleamy Gloomy Gabs. I like your name. How is everyone doing? Hello, Samairana OP. Okay, we'll give it maybe like 2 more minutes and then we can start. But before that, let's just get reacquainted. Hi, Prantik, how are you? It's been a while since I've done this, so if we have any technical issues, I'm sorry. Can you all hear me though? Can you all hear me, see me, everything? Is it all working? Please give a thumbs up if you can see me, hear me, and everything's working properly. Yes, I'm also excited to be here, Neetu. Okay, perfect. Yes, what is this live chat about? I'll get to that in a minute. Hi, Janvi. I know it's been a really long time. Um, it's yeah. Hi, Harsh. Okay, so before we get started with what this show is about, I think initially let's just get reacquainted. It's been a long time since I have spoken to you guys. It's been a long time since I've done a live show. So maybe we can start with like a quick Q&A, and then we can jump into what this show is about and what I have planned for hashtag the cozy corner going forward. So firstly, I guess I want to ask you guys, what books are you currently reading? What is currently on your TBR? What books are you excited about? Let me know down in the comments. And if you have any questions for me, you can ask me that as well. We'll do a quick sort of reacquaintance Q&A right now, and then we can get started. So firstly, yes, what books have you guys been reading? Let me know. Yes, someone said Mad Ship by Robin Hobb. That is amazing. I am currently reading Ship of Destiny, Anila, and I am absolutely, absolutely loving it. I am loving the Live Ship Traders trilogy. What did you think of Mad Ship? Without any spoilers, what do you think of Mad Ship? Let me know. You are reading tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. Okay, yes, this book, I feel like for me also it took me a little bit of time to get into it, but I was very happy with the way it ended, and it actually did make me cry. So yeah, look out for that. It might actually make you cry a little bit. Seven Deaths of Evil in Hardcastle. Okay, that's another really good one. Um, the ending felt just a little bit underwhelming for me, but the plot twist was still very, very interesting. I think you'll have a fun time with it. Right, the character Robin Hobb's character work. So she's talking about Mad Ship, which is part of the Live Ship Traders trilogy. Robin Hobb's character work is the best that I have seen in a really, really long time. Like so good. You'll see my parents walking behind me, by the way. That's who's walking behind me. They're trying so hard to keep out of the live stream, but I'm live streaming from our living room, so they'll be walking behind me. So you're currently reading a Bengali book and you're about to start Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Ooh, interesting. I'd like to hear what you think about Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes because, yeah, for me, it's my least favorite Hunger Games book. So, yeah. You're really looking forward to reading Atmosphere. I read Atmosphere and I actually did like it. I gave it like 4 out of 5 stars. It's not my favorite Taylor Jenkins Reid book, but very, very emotional. And yeah, I liked it. Have I read Sunrise on the Reaping? I have. And that honestly, after the original trilogy, this was hands down one of the best like Hunger Games reading experiences that I've had. It was so good. It was really, really good. I think but you have to read Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes before you get to Sunrise on the Reaping to get some of the Easter eggs which are there in that. So that's so yeah. After you finish Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, you can jump into Sunrise on the Reaping, and I think that'll be a really good reading experience for you, especially if you're a Hunger Games fan. So, can you suggest a fiction book for a beginner? Okay, I have so many. It really depends on your taste and what you want, what genre you're looking for. One book is very hard to recommend, like a beginner level book. So let me know what genre you're looking for, and I'll try to recommend something for you. Yes, this does remind me of Bookbound Club. I'm missing my two other co-hosts. I'm missing Meera and Sonali so much. But yes, this is definitely giving throwback vibes to Bookbound Club. I miss doing that. I really do. I want to read some Indian fantasy book. It's my first time reading fantasy. I want to go for a fast-paced Indian fantasy, but a standalone. Okay. I don't really know like Indian fantasy much. The only one that I do know is a bit slower paced. But if you want like South Asian inspiration for a fantasy book, so it's not exactly Indian, but it has Middle Eastern, South Asian representation, and it is full of pirate adventures, and definitely check out The Adventures of Amina Al Sirafi. It's not a standalone because I know it's by S.A. Chakraborty. She's writing more books with these characters, but you can definitely stop after reading The Adventures of Amina Al Sirafi. Um, because, yeah, there's not like major plot points that are left up in the air. So you could try that. Do you know what translation is good for Iliad and Odyssey? No, I do not. I don't know what translation is good for this. The fact that you're actually attempting to read this, though, like I bow down to you because that's amazing that you want to read these two I don't know if they're chunky, but they're definitely difficult, is what I know. Did I ever read any Murakami books after Men Without Women? No, I haven't. I don't know if I ever will, to be honest. I think, Shaurya, you really like Norwegian Wood, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly. I think you really like Norwegian Wood. But yeah, I don't think I'll ever get to any Murakami books. I don't know. Never say never, but yeah, let's see. Who's your favorite author? Oof, so many. Currently, my favorite author is Robin Hobb. I am obsessed with her fantasy works. Absolutely, absolutely obsessed. Um, with the way she builds characters, her like political intrigue, everything that she does, it's just chef's kiss. Mainly because Nolan's Odyssey is releasing next year. Yes, actually, that's a really good idea to read those before this movie releases. But yeah. Okay, so that I think was a good warm up. It's great to see you guys here. I recognize some of you from like old live chats as well as Bookbound Club. So I'm really happy to see you guys here. Um, okay, wait, I'll do one more question. How much are audiobooks part of your consumption? Oh, so much. I would say like 80% of my consumption is audiobooks. I have a very weird way of reading. I do like physical audio as well as ebook, and then I like change it based on what my mood is. So there are times when, because like my job is quite stressful, there are times when I don't want to look at a screen. So I literally stare at stare at a wall and listen to an audiobook. There are times when like holding a physical book, this sounds really bad, but holding a physical book is just like tedious, especially when I'm lying down in bed. So then I'll read on my Kindle or my phone. So whatever I want. Yeah. But audiobooks are like I would say 80% of my consumption. I love audiobooks. And especially if the narrator is good, it's so immersive and engaging. So highly recommend audiobooks. They are amazing. Okay, cool. So, getting into what this live show is about. So, basically, what I have envisioned for this show concept, which is hashtag the cozy corner, is basically I want this to be a space where we can have nerdy, bookish conversations, but without any drama, without any like judgment. It's just for us to come together and talk about all things related to books and reading, which I think are fun to discuss, or like which I think are interesting. And these are conversations that I genuinely want to have in real life with like my friends and like people, but I don't know people who read or who are obsessed with reading. So I'm having these conversations with you. Like literally that's what the show is. I want a space to be able to talk about these nerdy bookish things. And yeah, that's what the show is about. Exactly, Shaurya. It is a we listen and we don't judge YouTube live version. So, today's topic is going to be about toxic online reading culture. Now, I put in the thumbnail BookTube because we're all gathered here on YouTube, and I'm guessing all of you follow a bunch of BookTubers, and all of you are engaged in like BookTube content. But overall, just like online book culture. So whether it's Bookstagram, BookTube, I mean, we don't have TikTok in India, but if you live abroad, then BookTok, basically. So that's what I want to talk about. So firstly, my first question to you guys is, um, where did you get your last book recommendation from? Like a book that you read recently and that you really loved, where did you get that recommendation from? So I just want to understand what are like the platforms that you guys are using, or what are the platforms that you love using. So let me know where you got your recommendations from. Just put in either BookTube, Bookstagram, whatever in the comments. Should I do a poll? Would that be easier? Goodreads. Okay, yeah. Nice. Anyone else? Where did you get your last recommendation from? BookTube. Okay. On Pinterest. Interesting. Okay, let's talk about that in a bit. Pinterest. Wow. Okay. YouTubers, Insta, and Goodreads. Yeah. So basically, a lot of this is online, or mostly new releases from authors I liked. Yes. Okay, Rahul, what is library thing? Please let me know. Do you just mean like a physical library, or is this like an app or something? Your ex-girlfriend. Okay, so some people getting it with like people from their in their personal life. It's a site for discussing books. Okay, I have not heard of this. I will look it up. Library thing. Nice. Chat GPT. Okay, nice. Okay, so mainly except for one of you who got a recommendation from their ex-girlfriend. Most of you found your like a book that you loved or a book that you recently read online. So basically, like, I guess, I mean, this is a very generalized comment, but like a lot of us depend on the online space right now to for book recommendations, to see what's trending, to see what people are liking, to see what people are talking about books. And so with that said, because we're so chronically online to get like our book recommendations, I'm going to be making a poll, which is, while you're online and consuming like the book recommendations that these online content creators are doing, what do you think is a toxic book, I guess, like habit that you have observed? Right. So I'm going to put in some options. Give me a minute. Hold on. So first is like reading for numbers only, genre shaming, uh, basically book haul flexing. So it's more about like quantity over quality. Or is it just like online content where people are just talking about the drama? Yes. So what is a toxic book habit that you have observed online? And we'll see how this goes. These are some that I've seen, which I find like the most problematic, to be honest. So yeah. Okay, so most of you are saying book haul flexing. Yes. Reading for numbers only as well, constant drama. Okay. So book haul flexing and reading for numbers only is what's getting the most. Reading for numbers only, yeah. Okay, so let's start with reading for numbers only. So like definitely quantity over quality, people flexing about number of books and nobody brags about deep reading. Exactly. This is something that I've seen as well. And I want to share like a personal anecdote, which I thought like it really shocked me. So this was just like someone I'd met during like a reader meetup sort of thing. And basically she asked me like how many books I'd read that year. And for me, it was like a reading slump year. And so I think I'd read something like 15 books, which I thought was great because I really liked the books that I was reading. And I read only 15 books, and she was shocked. And like she basically like I don't think she did this intentionally, but she made me feel like I wasn't a reader because I hadn't read like 50 books by the middle of the year. So this was around like May or June, and I'd only read 15 books, and I'd not read something like 50 or 60 books, I don't know. And so what she said, like I can't exactly remember what she said, but the way she said it made me feel like, oh, you're not like a serious reader then if you've only read 15 books by like May or June. And that, like, that's what really irks me about the whole culture of like BookTube, Bookstagram, like having these over dramatic bookshelves filled with books, um, doing like reading wrap ups where like people read 18, 20 books a month. Like, I don't know about you, but that's not realistic. And like, I want to ask you guys, like, have you ever felt guilty for not reading enough? Like, I've got comments from some of you who are like, oh, I'm in a reading slump and I'm feeling guilty because I'm not able to read. But have you ever felt guilty because you feel like you're not reading enough? Because that's something that I feel sometimes. And that's also because like I go online and I see people reading 20 books a month. I see people reading 300 books a year. And I'm just like, how is that possible? So let me know if you guys have had any of these experiences where you feel like you literally feel reader guilt or book guilt over not reading enough. I have a new book haul photo on my WhatsApp. No, I'm not going to judge you. And Prantik, you sent me the book haul video, and I know the context behind it. So no, I'm not going to judge you. And even if you did, I wouldn't judge you if you had a book haul photo. No, I read to enjoy, not to compete. That's great. And I feel like this is where I want to get to. This is like what I want to. I mean, I've made a conscious effort this year to not read for like the algorithm, to not read for content, to not read for like to make content and to get views, and only read for my enjoyment. But like that's come after a lot of like self-talk and a lot of like basically just making sure that like my mental health is okay and I'm not like going crazy because I'm trying to keep up. I don't feel guilt about slow reading. I would feel more guilty if I skim through a book. I often reread a book even while reading it. Yes, actually, I do that too sometimes. And I don't know, but maybe it's because of like, I don't know, our attention spans decreasing. But sometimes I feel like I zone out while reading a book and then I have to go back and read a few pages. But yeah, that's also something that I've started doing a lot, which is slowing down my pace, actually like um, being fully immersed in my book, and also making sure that like I'm taking notes when I want to, I'm actually like engaging with the book rather than just reading to finish it. She said, never. Last year I read 11. In the year it was my 10th board, of course, and but half of them were 5 stars. Sell my soul to read again. Oh, perfect. I love that. I absolutely love that. Yes, you guys are, I would say, in a much better space than me. Because I feel guilty. Like I used to, at least. I'm improving that. I don't know why everybody is in an unsaid secret competition for reading more. Like, exactly. What is the prize? And okay, this is also what I want to ask you guys as viewers, because this is a trend I have seen on BookTube, which is that generally, if you in your thumbnail show that you have read 15 plus books, or like it's 18 book recommendations, 20 book recommendations, 25 book recommendations, those videos, and I'm not kidding, those videos get way more views than any, like if you say 5 book recommendations, if you say 3 book recommendations, when you increase the number of recommendations that you show on your YouTube page, it genuinely gets more views. And I feel like that's also where, like, for content creators, a lot of the guilt seeps in when you're not reading a lot, because you're always trying to beat the algorithm and you're always trying to give more recommendations for your viewers, because that's what we think viewers want based on analytics and based on how many views we get, how many likes we get, exactly, like those things. So I want to ask you guys as viewers, does that really matter when you're watching book content? Does the number of recommendations that content creators are giving you, does that matter? Is it like, do you guys want more recommendations for like shorter time? Like, does that really matter to you? Because that's been one of the reasons why I have like gone into mental health spirals where I feel like I'm not reading enough. It's because yeah, I feel like I'm not making good content for you guys. It's like sometimes I replace audiobooks with podcasts while I'm taking a walk, and I feel bad about not having made progress in my book. Yeah, this happens to me. Okay, I have another like anecdote about this. So I recently switched to Fable instead of Goodreads to like track my reading. And Fable has this thing about like reading streak, where you can like basically say that you read today, and it basically tells you how many days in a row you've read. This is so stupid. And I feel like I'm exposing myself here. But I I used to feel guilty when I used to miss a day and my streak would go from like 15 to 1 or to 0, back to 0. Or like I would read for 5 days and then I would not read one day because I couldn't, and then my streak would go back to 0. And I feel like that's supposed to like motivate you to read, not make you feel guilty. But yes, I feel guilty when I'm not made progress in my book either. It's like, no, the number of recommendations doesn't matter at all. It's about books, not the number of books. Thank you, Varsh. That's what I would assume as well. But like my analytics say different. I don't know. Instead of book recs, I would prefer more deep reading sessions. Yeah, same. Which is why I'm doing this now. I'm doing live streams because I don't want to just give you like 20 book recommendations, half of which are probably repeated. Because like you can only read that much. Like how many books can you read a year when you have a bunch of things? No, what matters most is how they describe the book. If they're raving about the characters or emotions, it's an instant follow. Yes, I agree. I also look at the way people review or talk about the book rather than how many books they're talking about. Like if they go into some kind of depth, that's what matters to me. Also, as like a content consumer, rather than if you're just like, I don't know, if you just tell me, oh my god, great ending, good characters. Like I need more information than that. A good video in which one is one which talks books, hauls, recommendations, reviews, book news. So are you saying like all of these combined in one video or like individual videos? Because I have like a hot take on hauls as well. Hello, Avdut. How are you? Yes. Oh, you're at work. Thank you for coming and saying hi. It's so nice to see you. Am I starting a book club here? Maybe. Maybe I am. Stay tuned for more information. Okay, so Neetu, you're saying individual videos. Yes. Okay, so I have a bit of a hot take on book hauls. So book haul flexing, I'm just checking the poll right now. Book haul flexing is at 25% of a toxic book habit. So here's my problem with hauls as well. This hauls are also something which get a lot of views. And again, it depends on the number of books that you show in a haul. This is just based on my analytics. If you show like 50 books, you've bought 50 books, then that tends to get more views on YouTube. If you say you've only bought 5, it doesn't get views. Or it gets like lower views. It still gets views, but like not as many. So again, I understand for the viewer why it's satisfying when you're like unboxing. Yeah, exactly, Shaurya. So book hauls are mostly about unboxing and it's like very satisfying to watch. I agree. I love watching like unboxing videos as well. And it's fun. But for me, it's like I don't know how much of the books that people buy and put on their bookshelf, how much of that is performative versus how much of that are they actually excited to read? And that's something I don't know. I don't know how much of it is just like we want 1,000 books in our bookshelf, and then that comes to like leading into overconsumption, and like are we going in that trend of like which a lot of like booktubers have been talking about, which is are we going into the trend of like fast fashion? So like books have basically become like fast fashion where you like buy a bunch of books, but like how much are you actually reading and engaging with and consuming? So yeah, I don't know. That's a question. I can't buy books, so I want to look at others getting them. Yes. I like hauls because it introduces me to books which I might not have. Yeah, correct. I agree. I agree. It definitely introduces you to books that you haven't heard of. But yeah, I just wonder. I just wonder, like, in general, the people who buy like hundreds of books, like, I don't know. To me, I feel like some of it feels performative. It might not be for a lot of booktubers. You might actually be reading everything that you buy, but yeah. Anila says, I stay in the US. It is really toxic here. Halls of multiple special editions of the same books. I love buying a good exclusive edition of a book I love, like Folio Society with art and better quality. Yes, exactly. Same. It's like, how many editions of Fourth Wing do you need? And I don't know if you can blame publishers also, because like they keep making new they keep making new special editions, and I don't know if that's like I guess it's healthy. I don't know. I saw a video where someone was reviewing a book and he said that authors are being pressured into writing more but poorer quality. He also used the fast fashion metaphor. Exactly. And I haven't read beyond Fourth Wing. I only read Fourth Wing, but I watched a bunch of people analyze like the other two books, Iron Flame and Onyx Storm, and she released those books within a few, like, I think Iron Flame was released within a few months of finishing Fourth Wing, and Onyx Storm was a year after Iron Flame, if I'm not mistaken. And that's insane to write like a well developed fantasy series. I mean, my hot take is that like Fourth Wing isn't well developed, but like it's insane amount of pressure to put on an author to write. Firstly, like what I've heard is also there isn't enough material for her to make it a 5 book series. So I just feel like publishers are getting greedy. Publishers are definitely getting greedy. They want books to be churned out faster. They want authors to stretch out their series because they know like it's a very well liked, high selling series, so they're going to get money. So yeah, that's another hot take I have. Publishers are definitely getting greedy, and I feel like it's feeding into the overconsumption, book holification of YouTube content. And yeah, you ranted of anti-intellectualism of romance and fantasy genre in one of your shorts. So as of now, even with 50 plus records, it boils down to the same book with different names of PR. What do you mean by that? Are you saying like all fantasy books and romance books are the same? Which some of them kind of are. But I think like that's been happening since a very long time. Like after Hunger Games, um everyone made like Hunger Game copies, basically. And I guess that's also what publishers want. Publishers want what will sell. So right, yeah. So they make like multiple editions of the same thing. Oh, protagonist, not like PR. Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, I guess. I noticed that you like fantasy a lot. Do you like weird fiction like Lovecraft, Blackwood, Ligotti? Okay, wow. I don't even know what those are. Please enlighten me. I don't know what Lovecraft, Blackwood, and Ligotti means. Personally, at one point in time, I don't have more than 15 unread books. That's actually really good. I have many. And in fact, like I'm actually setting up a bookshelf right now. And when I do it, I'm going to be unhauling a lot of books. These are books which have probably been on my TBR for years, and I feel like I'm never going to get to them. These are books that like I have fallen out of love with for like whatever reason. But yeah, I'm going to be unhauling a book because one of the rules that I'm making for myself is that I only want books on my bookshelf which like I'm happy seeing them up there. So for example, I don't want any Neil Gaiman book on my shelf ever. And yeah, so it's basically books I've connected with, books that I really, really want to read and I haven't been able to get to them. Those are the books that I want on my shelf and not just like a random bunch of books because what I've realized is like there is limited space in my house as well. And right now my house is overflowing with books and it's just, yeah, just, I don't know. I need to declutter. Weird fiction genre. Oh, these are authors. Okay, okay, okay. I thought they were like types of genres. Sorry, completely misunderstood. No, I haven't read them. I haven't read these. What do they write? Give me a recommendation that you think will be interesting. So many books, so little space. Exactly. Exactly. Always, always a problem. What is your take on the concept of anti-library by Taleb because it's a debate between readers of unknown. What do you mean by this? Oh, hi, Chenwei. How are you? Thanks for joining. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the poll and see. Okay, so only 8% of you clicked on genre shaming, but that's also something that I want to talk about. Um, how many of you have felt uh, shamed for the types of books that you read? So it could be anything. It could be a genre that you read. It could be an author that you read. It could be just the book itself. Because I feel like that's something that happens online a lot, which is that everyone has hot takes and everyone has unpopular opinions and people can be mean. People can just be like really, really mean on about like reading romance books, for example, or reading, I don't know, reading a super hyped book, reading erotica. I feel like a lot of people are shamed for reading erotica. And yeah, husband shames me for my romantic series. Exactly. I feel like a lot of men shame their partners for romantasy. And I don't know, I don't understand why. Like everyone just feels like we're reading a bunch of fairy smart when we're not. And even if we were reading fairy smart, like fairy smart can be fun to read when the whole world is dying, essentially. You've been shamed for reading thriller and mystery. That is really sad. Generally, like I feel like romance readers get shamed, romantasy readers get shamed, erotica readers get shamed. Um, I think like reading certain authors, like I know like Chetan Bhagat, a lot of people get judged for reading Chetan Bhagat. People judge you based on the type of genre you read often, and it's so bad. Exactly. Exactly. Okay, this for reading fiction, I feel like this is a very, very Indian or like Asian problem where for some reason reading fiction is considered inferior. And like I don't understand why. Like I feel like I saw this video which was made by Shreya Punj, the editor recommends. She's on Bookstagram. But basically, she spoke about how we're always like wired to be very productive in India. We're wired to like, when we're reading, we're always wired to be like scholarly or productive or like learning constantly. And which is why we've never been taught to read for fun, like us as a society. Like there, I've heard like I've read comments from you guys on my videos where you've said your parents have actually taken away fiction books from you because they feel like you're wasting time when you're reading them, and that just baffles me. It baffles me that like parents would take away books from kids. It's crazy. They don't understand. They don't understand the smart is like 5 pages out of 500. Exactly, exactly. And like even if it was like let's say like 300 pages out of 500, I still feel like you shouldn't be shamed for reading that. Sometimes you just have to read smart, and that's fine. Not even specific genres. Whenever I tell people that I read only fiction for enjoyment, they say I've wasted. Exactly. Why don't I just watch a movie? Ugh. This makes me so angry. This makes me so angry. I thought within book lovers there is an inverse snobbery towards nonfiction book. To be honest, I support that. Inverse snobbery. So you're saying like we don't like nonfiction books? I mean, I don't like nonfiction books, to be honest. Okay, wait. Let me rephrase. I don't like self-help books. I like nonfiction. I like memoirs. I like history books which talk about certain like events in history. I like books which do like, I don't know, deep dives into certain like phenomena, but I despise self-help books. because I feel like they're just like too driven by like marketing gimmicks rather than actually helping you. Except for maybe Atomic Habits. I liked Atomic Habits, but I don't think I've read a self-help book after Atomic Habits, which is why I keep talking about Atomic Habits, because like I get really bored reading self-help. In college library period, I saw a book called Till the Last Breath. Nobody reads much in library period except me, and I was trolled for reading. Oh my god, that's that's ridiculous. It's like, how dare you read in a library? Yeah, in school, when we had library period, we would all just read Archie's comics, and that was so bad. I used to try to sneak my Harry Potters into school and like read Harry Potter, but then like I think it got confiscated once or something, and then I never got a book to school again, which is so sad. It's like I was scared of bringing books to school to read. For memoirs, nonfiction to be pretentious because I am mostly a fantasy reader and don't seem to be mature for nonfiction. No, I don't think it's that you're not mature for nonfiction. Um, some like I mean, yeah, when you're used to like stories and when you're used to like reading books that engage you because of the way the prose is, the way characters are written, the way like settings are described, I feel like a lot of nonfiction books don't get that. um and so I think that's why we don't feel so engaged with nonfiction. It's not that you're immature, it's just a different writing style. But if you want to read a good memoir that's written like fiction, then I recommend what's it called? I'm Glad My Mom Died. I think that's what it's called. I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. That's written really well. It's written like a fiction book. I think you learn more reading fiction than nonfiction. 100%. I agree. I agree. For sure. My Roman Empire is that a self help book is built on the fact that there is only one way to live, i.e., if you don't do exactly what the author says, you will still be unhealthy, broke, depressed. Yes, my problem with self help books is that I feel like it feeds off of our insecurities that we have in life. Like, you feel you're too fat, you feel you're too unhealthy, you feel like you're not making enough money. It's like it makes you feel small, and like it puts the author at on a pedestal, and basically like, yeah, the author is there to guide you and save you, which like, oh, I do not like at all. But with fiction, the idea is that there are multiple ways to live. Exactly. There are characters who probably live a life vastly different from yours. Exactly. Different perspectives, um, a different way to look at things that you probably have never thought of. So yeah, 100% agree with that. Same. Our school library had fiction books, but never let us read them. Yeah, I don't understand what that was about. Even my library had fiction books, but like we only got Archie's comics to read. And I'm like, why? Why did they do that? It makes absolutely no sense. My school library got a big update last year because of our new principal who wants to promote reading, but the librarian guy is so stupid. He ordered 18 plus books just because they're popular. Oh no, that's sad. That's sad. But I also feel like I don't know. Do you guys know where to go to get like good recommendations for children's books? Because I feel like that's a section of like book content that I've never explored because I'm not a child, and I don't have children. But like I really wonder where to go to get book recommendations for kids. I have a niece. She's really cute and she loves reading, and she keeps giving me recommendations, which is so sweet and so cute. So I think I'm going to read some of hers because she's a nerd like me. Okay, and I'm just going to go back to the poll. Okay, constant drama. What do you guys think of like just constant drama? I think like honestly, to be very honest, I feel like the Indian BookTube, Bookstagram space is actually quite drama less. I feel like the drama comes from Book Talk and like the US and the West. I don't know. I feel like we have a pretty wholesome community here on BookTube and Bookstagram in India, at least. We're not as mean or and like catty like the Western space. I love drama when it contributes to a good read with Cindy video. Exactly. Oh my gosh. I um I love it too. I love her deep dives into things. My uncle even thinks that watching thriller films is bad because it makes me oh no. Him finding that I love crime thriller books. Oh no. Yeah. There are some people like that. Can't we make a Discord channel where we discuss more books, likes, records with each other? I do have that planned, but it might be inside a membership, like inside my members only section. I am figuring things out of how to like basically expand this community. What can I use to like monetize things and how can I make more content for you guys? So give me some time. I will be announcing things on there. The whole satire genre is an example of how genius one has to be in giving fiction lens to rather. Yes, yes. And I feel like, I mean, satire is one, but like also fantasy. I feel like fantasy is such an amazing genre to not only like talk about character work and like character studies, but also politics. Because so much of fantasy is about politics. So much of fantasy is about like political scheming and political intrigue, and you can learn so much about like society, societal evils, issues, as well as politics from fantasy books. Because so many fantasy books are actually like they are inspired by real life events in history, and so yeah, satire, fantasy, like just like any fiction genre, to be honest. Great way to like it shows it shows a mirror to society, I feel. And litfic, I mean, litfic is all about society and our issues, all of our issues. Okay, so I have one last question for you guys. Okay, wait, I have RF Kwong, exactly. Heart to RF Kwong, because the way she weaves in real life politics and real life history with fantasy is amazing. It's amazing. We are seeing the Hunger Games come to life. Yes, yes, we are. Yeah. Okay, bye, Neetu. That's a, have a good dinner. Okay, yeah. So my last question for you guys before we wrap up is after having spoken all this about like some of the toxic things that you see online, um have you have you guys made any like active effort to break free from any of these toxic habits, and what is that, and like how has that gone for you guys? So, like personally, for me, what I've given up is like I've given up doing hauls because I felt like I was buying books unnecessarily that I didn't need. So, I'm sorry. I know some of you like watching hauls on this channel, but you're not going to get hauls because I've stopped over buying books that I really don't want on my shelf or that I don't want to read. There might be times when I still like go out and buy a bunch of books and maybe I'll film a quick haul, but I've decided to stop doing hauls and I've decided to read what I want rather than reading for the algorithm. And that these are two things which I felt have been really good for my mental health this year because reading for like book content and reading for like YouTube ideas was one of the reasons I was like going into a slump, a reading slump, and like massive reading slumps because I was reading books that I wasn't excited to read. Because like I was reading like, okay, I want to do a video about thrillers. So I was reading a whole bunch of thrillers to see if there were any good ones that I could recommend to you guys. I wanted to do a book about romance. So I was reading a bunch of romance books. But like deep down, I'm a fantasy girly. I just want to read fantasy all the time. So I'm reading a lot more fantasy and I'm discovering so many amazing fantasy authors. And I'm also reading a lot more diversity. I'm reading more lit fic. I'm I'm reading thrillers because I love thrillers, but like I'm le- I'm I've I'm reading romance, but I'm being very choosy about the kind of romance that I read. And all of this has basically helped me in staying out of a reading slump. And it's made me connect with books much, much better. I've stopped using Insta and has made me want to buy books less. Yeah. You know, that's really weird because a lot of people talk about how like Bookstagram is kind of like a toxic space, like a toxic online book community, at least in India. But I've actually found a lot of freedom in doing Bookstagram content. I don't know why. I don't know. Like BookTube felt very toxic for me after a while. But Bookstagram has given me a lot of like room to breathe, I feel, and make content that really excites me more than like puts me in a box. You stop reading for numbers and tackled the big books on my TBR and only reading the books that I know. Yeah, exactly. Like read what you know you love. Read, I mean, yeah, for sure. I just realized I have these toxic book habits, like one or two. Oh no, that's fine. I mean, honestly, like you do you. For me, it reached a point where I just felt like guilty and anxious about making content, and I just wasn't happy doing that anymore. And so, which is why like I realized I had to change. And I went off YouTube for a while because like I wasn't making good content. At least I felt like I wasn't making good content and I wasn't making content that was making me happy. And a lot of it was to do with these like toxic habits. But now I'm back and I'm excited and I'm really enjoying connecting with you guys. Mood reading is one of my ways to get away from toxic trends. Yes, for sure. Definitely. Read what you feel like, read what you're in the mood for, read what you think you love. Do you need a good plot or good writing in books? This is a very interesting question. So, I think I need decent, okay, if the plot is really, really, really gripping, then if the writing like suffers, it's okay. But if there is no plot and it's more like vibes and themes and things, then I need the writing to be just like 100 on 100 to be able to get through a book. I don't know if that answers your question. It's like it's an it depends basically. Yeah. Like if the plot is like 100, then I need then the writing can be like 50. But if the plot is like 20, then I need the writing to be 100. So I guess I give more weight to writing than plot. Yes, I like reading what I like rather than what's trending, or more people are reading, or what more people are reading, which I earlier used to. Yeah, same. I still read a few trending books because like I get massive FOMO, but yeah, I think reading what you like is very helpful. And also I feel like because like I get so many of my recommendations online. So whether it's like book content creators that I like, or whether it's Goodreads, or like what I see on like the press cycles of books, I feel like the my habit of like going into a bookstore and like reading the back of a book and picking up a book just because the back sounds interesting. I've lost that habit and I hate that, because even when I'm at a bookstore and I find a book that nobody has talked about or that nobody like has said anything about online, my instinct is to like immediately go on Goodreads and search and see the rating before I buy it. And I want to change that habit. I want to be able to walk into a bookstore and buy whatever book I want just based on like vibes. Because I feel like that's how you discover gems sometimes. What has helped me stay immersed into reading is discussing them with some readers on Twitter. Oh, interesting. I've never used Twitter. I've never even considered using Twitter because I find Twitter so like very toxic. But that's interesting. Yeah, honestly, like discussing books with people like makes reading a lot more interesting, which is why I started my book channel, because I don't have like actual physical people to talk to, so I talk to a camera. Create a community with like-minded readers. I guess that will help. Yes, and that's what you guys are here for. You're that community of like-minded people, hopefully. Me too. I will read the blurbs, but again, immediately go to Goodreads. Same. I want to change that. Recently watched your recommendation on short videos. Will like to recommend The Grown Up by Gideon Flynn. I have read The Grown Up. It is really good. Yes, I read it a few years ago and definitely good. Gillian Flynn is such, or Gillian Flynn, I don't know how you pronounce her name, but she is like the queen of writing mind bendy thrillers. I think there is a financial issue to this as well, because it's somewhat risky to buy a book that you might potentially dislike, but libraries can fix that issue. Definitely. So honestly, like if I'm very confused about whether I like a book or not, I generally buy the Kindle version because they're much cheaper than the physical book. So if it's like a hyped book that I'm not sure of, I don't know whether I like it or not, I go for the Kindle version. I guess we should just buy what we love. I bought one self-help book last year because felt guilty for reading fiction. Oh no. This year I realized that and only bought what I like. Got three books of my favorite genre. Amazing. Amazing. I love that. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up now. But this has been episode one of hashtag the cozy corner. I hope you guys enjoyed it and I hope you guys liked this format and talking about books. I have another format, which is going to be like the second format of like my live stream show. But before that, I want to talk a little bit because I missed talking about that. I want to talk a little bit about what else we're going to do on the cozy corner. So apart from just like talking about, I guess, like these book discussions about things, we're going to do things um, like a live version of tier ranking. So I'm going to ask you guys for a bunch of prompts. I'm going to put that into like the tier ranking maker, and then we're going to tier rank together. So that's one idea that I have for this show. The second is I want to do like rapid fire personalized recommendations. So I'm going to ask you guys for prompts and I'm going to try to recommend books to you. So that's another format that I have. Let me just open up my like planning page because I've written a bunch of like other things. So tier ranking parties is definitely going to be here. I'm going to do like speed recommendations as well. And then we can also do like author deep dives on here. So we can talk about a bunch of authors that we like and talk about their books. And we can do like bookish discussions like this. So I have some fun ideas for this live stream show, which is Cozy Corner. And then I have a second live stream concept show, which is more of a debate style show. Now, in that one, basically what I want to do is I want to talk about some, let's say, like bookish hot takes. So, for example, all of these are going to be like controversial takes on books. So, one could be like, are Indian books boring? So, that's actually going to be the first topic that we're going to delve into. And it's going to be a debate style format where I will actually ask you guys to come on the show and talk to me. So it'll be like a call-in radio type of show where you'll come on the show and talk to me, and we'll actually discuss, like actually talk to each other. You don't have to switch on your camera or anything, but we'll talk to each other and debate about these like bookish hot takes. So there'll be about it could be like, are Indian books boring? uh, do you think like romance books are cringe? Do you think book talk is ruining the publishing industry? Like all of these bookish hot takes. We're going to deep dive into them. And what I want to do is actually talk to you guys for that show. So, those are some of the ideas that I have planned, which are coming up in the next, I would say, like few months. So, I hope you guys are excited, because I'm super, super excited to actually talk to you guys, like actually physically talk to you guys other than read your chats. So that is what is coming up. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Let me see. Okay, there were two more comments. So let's go through that. I've been trying to get used to going back to bookstores to pick up books that seem interesting rather than getting all my recs online. Exactly. Same. I miss reading the backs of books and discovering gems. Uh, While we're on the topic of short books, Frederick Backman's Deal of a Lifetime is 68 pages and will alter your brain chemistry. Ooh, okay. I'm going to add this to my TBR and check it out. But yes, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I will see you guys next time. Bye.